we'll start the way we used to do it. We used to ask the artist, the musician, to introduce himself to the audience, but the way the artist would like to be introduced. How should I introduce you?
I'm Matt Harvey. I'm the guitarist vocalist for Left to Die, and I'm just happy to be here.
Okay. Well, Left to Die. You just starting the Latin American tour. I guess there were 2 gigs in Brazil,
Yeah.
and you'll be almost all January here in Latin America. How was the start?
It was a really good start. It's been both shows were cool. The audience was really enthusiastic, which is what we expect, especially in Latin America. That's what that's what being down here is known for, and it's really it's a treat to play for people who are giving the same energy back that you're giving out from the stage. That's what gets me energized. You go. We were in Europe this summer and, playing some big festivals and stuff, and that's great and it's fine or whatever. But, when there's all these people who are seeing 30 bands that day and you're band number 22, they don't have that energy. Whereas like last night here in Rio, we were playing in a small room that's completely packed. People are losing their fucking minds and screaming along. And that's when you really are able to feel it back from the crowd. And that to me is much more fun. So it's been great. And, we kind of knew it was going to be great. Even when we talked about the first tour, we kind of said, wow, if we can figure out a way to get Left to Die to Latin America, I think it's going to be pretty insane. And so far we've been right. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I guess it must be very different playing in a big arena, 25,000 people, and in a small place where you can see the face of the people, hear what they say, even in some moments.
Right. I'm much more used to playing, a small club and being able to have that direct interaction with people, where you can reach out and slap their hands and you can look at them and be like, oh, that guy has a cool t-shirt on, or oh, that girl has nice tits or whatever. And you can just like see right there instead of looking out at a bunch of faceless mass of people that, it's cool, but it's not as personal, and that's what I like. So,
and how do you face up this this kind of tribute? I mean, talking about the songs, do you try to do it just like the original version?
Absolutely. We try to really play it as to the album as possible. Whether it's the solos, the tempos, everything. Especially me personally, because it's Rick and Terry's thing, and I'm just helping them play the songs. So I try to not really add anything. I think, every once in a while when we do a second encore, usually we'll play like Evil Dead. And that's like the one time where I'll be like, okay, I'll just play a solo here rather than trying to play exactly what Chuck played, because it's a bonus. It's not really something we were planning on, and now we're just kind of jamming and having fun kind of thing. But everything else, try to do it as close to the original as possible. We hope that if people close their eyes, it sounds like it's 1988, 1989, and, they're getting that original feeling, which is, very raw, very straightforward, and very powerful. Obviously we try to play everything as correctly as possible, so hopefully it's tighter than 1989 because they were kids doing that, and now we're all grown adults. But we still make some mistakes, of course.
And and how do you feel the thing you had to do it just like the original? Do you feel it like a limit to you, like as a musician, or is it comfortable?
I don't feel it as a limitation at all. I feel it as because for a project like this, I'm coming at it as a fan.
Hmm.
I grew up when I was 13 years old hearing these songs, and had been playing guitar for maybe a year, and of course you're learning Seek and Destroy and so on and so forth, and then
Hmm.
you know Antichrist by Slayer or whatever, and you're trying to figure these songs out, and then hearing Scream Bloody Gore and Leprosy at that age, then trying to figure out what is this, what is it about this that's different, because now I'm moving into this other kind of subgenre. So to me as a fan, I wouldn't want to go to a show and just hear somebody playing just whatever, and I did like the first 9 shows that Death to All did in California, and some of those songs I just sang, and some of them I played guitar as well. And because they tapped me as a fill-in at the last minute, I didn't have time to learn the solos. And there was like one solo I think I learned, like Zero Tolerance maybe.
Left to Die. Uh, do you have some plans to do some new material, or just you will keep going with this tribute?
Well, we talked about it early on, and we kind of went back and forth a little bit, and nothing really kind of gained momentum. And the way that I look at it is that um, if we do that, I will let Rick and Terry take the lead there, because at the end of the day, Gus and I are sort of on board to help them, do this thing, to help them
Hmm.
play these songs. And if there is something, it should come from them. But at the same time, I also feel like, especially the first time that we're coming to places, it's our first time here in Latin America. Even if we had original material, I would almost feel like we were watering down the set, because if I was a fan, I would be like, you guys will only play for an hour and a half. I don't want to spend 5 minutes hearing this new song from last year. I want to hear the songs I grew up with. So we don't want to water it down for the fans. We'll see. I don't think that we're going to do original stuff, but we get along well and we like playing together. So who knows? It's not impossible, but we'll see.
I read somewhere, I guess it was Gene Simmons from Kiss, talking about in that moment. He said that yeah, he decided not to do new material because the things you were saying, the fans who go to see Kiss, they want the classic one. They don't want to hear
Right.
new songs. Do you think the same?
I kind of do. Yeah. I think, my other band Exhumed, we did a tour with Venom Inc. Last year, and some of the new material that they've done is pretty fucking good, honestly. But every show, I was like, oh, I
Hmm.
just wanted to hear like some other song that they weren't playing, whether it was Live Like an Angel or Die Like a Devil or whatever. I just was like, this is time that could be used better from a fan perspective. Obviously it's their band; they can do whatever they want, and they
Uh-huh.
have their own catalog. That's great, but I'm coming into Left to Die completely as a fan.
Hmm.
I was a they were all kids making these records, but I was a little kid. I was a child, when these kids were making these records in '87 and '88. So I'm just here to try to do the material justice, and give the people what they want, and give the people something kind of special, because a lot of these songs, like Choke on It and Primitive Ways and stuff like that, hadn't been played live in decades. And so it's really cool to bring them out, and that's something that as a fan that I would want to see. As a fan, I would love to do like Legion of Doom, or Beyond the Unholy Grave, or some of these really early ones. But there's only so much time that we have, so can't have
Anyway,
everything.
do you think you will have the time to get into studio? Because we're talking about Exhumed, gruesome, Pounder. these other bands are still active. Exhumed, I guess it was the last year they were releasing new material. And where or when will you do it?
Well, I mean, luckily, a few years ago, with Exhumed, we built our own recording studio.
Uh-huh.
So I'm able to, kind of move from idea to thing pretty quickly,
Uh-huh.
which is the only way that this would work, playing in multiple bands and doing multiple projects and tours and stuff. This is all I do. I don't have like a job. I quit my job in the factory a few
Mhm.
years ago. So because between coordinating everything and doing everything, it
Mhm.
just took up so much of my time. I was working and then I was working part-time. And then I just realized I was like, I can only come in to work for like 12, 15 hours a week
Mhm.
because I'm so busy doing this other stuff. Well, I might as well just dedicate all my time to this other stuff. And, it's been working so far, knock on wood. But it is a lot of logistics and a lot of planning. And, obviously Terry is extremely busy with Obituary and he's also doing Inhuman Condition. Gus has a bunch of stuff going on. And then in Gruesome, Dan is in Possessed, and in Exhumed, Sebastian's busy with Mammoth Grinder and Noisem. And it's always, it's my whole life is just a logistical nightmare, and then my
Mhm.
wife and I will try and plan a vacation. And then like, well, actually this tour came up. Can we go on vacation this other time? And then I get in trouble and, it's a whole thing.
Matt, it's funny because so many people used to think that being a musician is not a job. It's something like
Right.
a long game you play. That's
I
not the
mean,
real thing.
no, I mean, I guess like if you're like, playing arenas and stuff, then maybe not. Maybe at that point, somebody else does everything for you and you just
Hmm.
show up and play guitar for an hour and then do drugs and meet girls or whatever. But, the reality is if you want to keep going, uh, for more than 4 or 5 years doing this, then it has to sort of become a job and it has to get taken seriously like a job because the reality is most people will not get to the level where you're playing an arena, and so at that point you have to pay attention to money and all these details and all these various things. And it's kind of a weird reconciliation because on one hand you get into doing this because you love it, and because you love this music so much that you want to be part of it. You want to be playing it. You want to be doing something. You want to be out there. And then, it slowly kind of transforms into, a livelihood. And so you have to find a way to balance doing things that will allow you to,
Hmm.
keep paying your mortgage or your rent or your car payment. But also you can't lose sight of, doing this because you love it, because the money's not that great that that maybe you wouldn't, if you don't really love it, maybe you'd be better off going back to work and just doing this for fun. And because I never want to lose sight of how much the music means to me and how much I care about it. And doing this project, it's a really cool way to keep in touch with that because I feel like I'm a kid again in
Hmm.
my bedroom at my parents' house with my, leprosy tape and my guitar, trying to figure out how it goes and rewinding the tape and trying something else and rewinding the tape. And, I would spend hours and hours trying to, learn these songs. And what I learned from these songs is stuff that I carried through, throughout my whole career. That's, like I said, that's how I learned the difference between like, oh, what is thrash? What is death metal? Like, why do these notes work for death? These notes work for, Exodus. And wow. So, it really is, I'm having the same experience in some ways as the people in the audience,
Uh-huh.
except maybe they might be having more fun because I can't just get drunk and scream along. I have to play the solos right. But
But
it is really cool.
But uh, let's suppose we get to a point where they say, well, Left to Die is big enough. Uh, if you want to go on with this, you must leave Exhumed, Pounder, Gruesome. Will you do it?
I mean, I don't see that as being a likely thing, and I think, especially as I've continued doing this for a long time, the reality is that it's not like we thought when we were kids in the '80s, where being in a band was like being in a gang. You're in this band and that's it, kind of thing. You realize now that most people, in order to work, number one, and in order to sort of satisfy their musical ambition, it's healthy to play in multiple projects and do different things, because that way you can kind of scratch your itch somewhere else. Like, I love traditional metal, so I started a traditional metal band because I didn't want my death metal band to sound like Tank or Angel Witch. I wanted my death metal band to be a death metal band so I could go over here and do something else. So, I don't think that would ever happen. And, I wouldn't want to be limited like that, so thankfully this is purely hypothetical.
Well, you mentioned a thing that left me thinking. A band where you're almost a teenager. As you said, it's a kind of gang. You hang out together, sex, drugs, rock and
Yeah.
roll. Then, when you're a mature man, we now use the word old. Is it very different the way the relationship you have with your partners?
It's a little bit different, and each band kind of has its own dynamic. I think with Exhumed is still maybe a little bit more like a gang, especially because our bass player Ross and we've known each other since 1991, 92. And obviously in this band there's no real such thing as creative control with Left to Die, because we're playing the songs that Rick and Terry played 30 whatever years ago. And with Exhumed, it's still like, an ongoing creative thing. And we sit around and bounce ideas off each other, and not just Ross and I, but all the guys. And, it's a little bit more like that. But, each band is different. It's like a family, each band is like its own family, and every family has different dynamics. Some families do everything together. Some families are like, hey, go away to college and then just come back once a year. Doesn't mean we don't love you, but this is how our family works. And the great thing about doing different bands and stuff is that you can kind of you get insight into these other dynamics, and you learn from them, and also the bands that you tour with, you see how they operate and how they work, and you can learn and adapt so that you're able to keep growing and keep things positive. But that said, with Left to Die, it's Terry and Rick are the core of the thing, and Gus and I are here to help them, and so that's a very specific dynamic, but we get along really well, and we enjoy hanging out, and we wouldn't keep doing this if we weren't having fun doing it, and if we didn't enjoy each other's company, and you got to like somebody to be able to sit around with them for hours, going from place to place, and sit around backstage and listen to them snore and everything else. You have to you have to like them.
This is your moment. Please sell the show here in Argentina. Tell the people, why should they go to see you?
I think if you're a fan of old school death, if you're a fan of old school death metal, like, you would not want to miss this show. It's our first time here, which makes it kind of special. And, I don't really know. We talk about it sometimes, and I'm not really sure how long we're going to continue doing this, but I know it won't be forever. We're all busy, and nobody's getting any younger. So I think it's a unique opportunity. And I also think that, if you want to hear the songs performed the old school way, which is, raw, direct, very true to the albums, you want to come to the show. You'll be able to close your eyes and feel like, you've been transported back to 1988, 1989. And, plus we need you guys to come to the show because your energy is what gives us the energy to give our best show. So, please come. I think you're going to have a great time. I know we plan on having a great time, and we can't wait to see everybody, man. It's going to be awesome.
Great, great. If you want to say something about, I don't know, Pounder, Exhumed, and Gruesome, uh, current situation and plans for the future.
Well, I think, just to do a very quick rundown, with Pounder, we just released an album called Thunder Forged a couple of months ago. If you like, Priest, Maiden, Saxon, and then maybe a little bit of, a little bit of AOR in there as well, then some Journey and some Night Ranger, then you'll probably dig the album. And Gruesome, we have a new album coming out in the next few months. We're finalizing the details now that everybody's back from the holidays. I'm very excited about that. Exhumed is working on a new record right now that we'll be back in the studio in the next few months. So it's going to be a busy year for everybody. But yeah, right now I'm excited to be down here in South America with Left to Die, man. It's great.
Thank you very much, man. We wish you all the best. It was a real pleasure. We never talked before, so it was great.
Absolute pleasure, Ruben. We'll see you soon.